What's going on, guys? It's William, and today we're talking about why is a lease agreement so incredibly important to have in rental property. Let's dive into it.
Welcome to the Smack Fest, the beat down. The SWAT team is here on another beautiful day of shutting the week down.
Hey guys, if we're meeting for the very first time, my name is William Dauria. I'm a professional real estate investor. I own single-family, multifamily, and commercial units. This is my cat. Her name is Pink. I know it doesn't make any sense because she's black, but her name is Pink. We adopted her, and she's very cute. Okay, so today we're going to go over not just why lease agreements are so incredibly important, but the difference between lease agreements and what they call estoppels. I know that's my cat's butt. I'm not going to edit this out. I like my cat, and this is my channel, so I can do what I want. Okay, but I just bought a duplex, okay? And on the contract on the duplex, they gave me what's called an estoppel. It's the first time that I've actually heard of an estoppel, and I was like, I need a lease agreement. So they say, we don't have them, we have an estoppel. And this was from a wholesaler, and I said, okay, well, let me look over the estoppel. And essentially what the estoppel was it was the most simple form of a lease agreement you've ever seen in your entire life. So for every lease agreement, I'm sure we've all basically by this point signed a bunch of lease agreements in our life. For instance, when you first got a first apartment, for instance, the lease agreement was like this thick, and you're like, going over page, okay, initial here, page, okay, initial here. Have you ever wondered what's actually in that lease agreement and why it is like 14 pages long? There is a great reason for it, but we're gonna get to that in a minute. So the estoppel, what I was given by the wholesaler was an estoppel, and I was reading it, right? It was one page per side, because it's a duplex, both sides, right? It basically said the person's name, the person's phone number, maybe their email address, that they're month to month and how much they're paying and if they're current or not. That is it. That is it. It said no, blah. It said no landlord responsibilities whatsoever. It said no tenant responsibilities whatsoever. So if there's ever an issue, you can't say refer back to the lease agreement because technically you don't really have one. I mean, you kind of have something that says you should be paying month to month. That is it. Like, period. It doesn't say you can't smoke weed in here, which should be obvious, but it needs to also be in lease agreement. It also says that, you can't do something crazy like make a bonfire, in the living room if you get, cold and your heater goes out. Like, you would think that's pretty simple, but like, it needs to say crazy things like that in the lease agreement. So everybody's on the same page of what you can do, what you can't do. Can I paint the walls? Can you not paint the walls? I don't know. It doesn't say, so they can do whatever. And then you have no recourse because it doesn't say that they couldn't paint the house, yellow and purple and put, jingle bells all over the doors. So no, that hasn't actually happened. Oh, thank gosh. Yet, I should say, because given enough time, I'm sure I'm going to go through many more hard lessons to be had as a landlord, and that's all good. Okay, so a lease agreement specifically is this. It addresses the rules, the policies, any conflict resolution procedures, and clearly defines the tenant and landlord responsibilities. For instance, if it says repairs are responsible to the tenant and landlord, this is the landlord's responsibilities, this is the tenant responsibilities. For instance, if somebody signed a lease on a property and it says the person that's signing the lease is assuming this as is, for instance, they are assuming the property as is. Now, this is minus any, AC failures. Obviously, that would be the landlord's responsibility. Now, I say obviously, unless it says otherwise in the lease. Okay, but anything in that lease agreement is what is going to be held up if it ever were to make it to court. Hopefully, that would not go that way. That would be a very bad thing to happen, except for it does happen. My very first year as a landlord, I had to go several times. No one ever lost, but nevertheless, it's a pain in the butt. It costs a lot of money. Nobody wants to go there, and it's just so much easier to say refer back to a lease agreement for your benefit or mine. Either way, a lease agreement prevents you or I from doing something we're not supposed to be doing, and it also protects the tenant and myself as well as what we are or are not supposed to be doing in our responsibilities. Oh, and before we move on from that, if you ever have an issue, a serious issue that you guys cannot figure out for whatever reason, and it made it to court, for instance, the judge is literally going to say, what does the contract say? What does the lease agreement say? I actually talked to a judge of judges. He taught other judges in the real estate, aspect of this. And he was literally telling me whatever the lease agreement says goes, period. If it says that they're supposed to replace the ACs when they break and they break, they're supposed to replace them. If it says that I'm supposed to replace them, I'm supposed to replace them. Like, I have responsibilities and they include whatever's in the lease agreement. Guys, understand what I'm kind of saying? The lease agreement is there for a reason. Do it, make sure it's done professionally by a professional on a professional form so it can be held up for both parties. Okay, if you were to buy a rental property and it does not have a lease on it, and people, you get what's called an estoppel, like I did, okay? This is what my new property management in that area says that she typically has to do, right? Because the area isn't, you know, one of those super nice areas, she says, we can't just knock on the door and say, hi, Mr. Smith, I need to see your driver's license so we can get up a new lease written up because you have a new tenant, or new landlord. They will literally just lock the door or slam it in your face. And at that point, they think they can just maybe stop paying rent because they don't have an official lease agreement. See the kind of problem. But what you need to do and what they're doing is this. They put a letter on the door and they said, we will give you, Mr. Smith, $25 gift card to so-and-so place if you can get us the copy of the driver's license and go ahead and sign this form for us as well. Or some instead of like a $50 Walmart gift card, like something that would literally take somebody like 15 seconds to do, they can make 50 bucks. It's a much easier way to get what both of you technically need so you both can have a lease agreement together so you guys can live your happy lives on your own time. All right, guys, that is the video for today. I wanted to make it quick and clean. Hopefully it clears anything up, whether you need a lease agreement, should I write on my own, which I don't recommend, etc., etc. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments below. I make several videos per week about real estate investing for passive income. That is what my channel is all about. Sorry for the cat at the beginning of the video. Hope you enjoyed it anyways. And until next time, I will see you on the next one.